Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All Shri Prabhupada, welcome devotees to morning Bhagavatam class. This morning will be discussing from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 3, verses 72 to 73. I think it's 72 to 73. And the chapter is entitled, yes it is, and the chapter is entitled, The External Reasons for the Appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're very happy to have His Grace Dronacharya Prabhu from ISKCON, Philadelphia. Hare Krishna Prabhu, accept my obeisances, all Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It's great to be with the Harrisburg family today. Hope you're all doing well. I know you're getting ready for Rath Yatra next week.
5 days.
So I know when Rath Yatra week is ahead of you, there's a lot of activity, and Krishna always has his drama lila that he puts with his devotees to put them in some anxiety to increase their attachment for them. But we're very much looking forward to coming. Many devotees from Philadelphia are looking to come
Oh,
to
wonderful. Great. Nice.
Harrisburg and be part of this wonderful festival.
Great. And it's all yours, Prabhu.
Yeah. All right. We'll start by chanting some prayers. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So, as Mother Anasuya said, we're studying the external reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance, and we are at the Adi Lila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, text 372, and then 373 has the purport. So we'll read both of them today. Advaita Nityananda Chaitanya Radui Anga Angera Avyayaya Gana Kahiye Upanga. Translation. Shri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are both plenary portions of Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are the limbs, angas, of his body. The parts of these two limbs are called the upangas. Text 73. Angopanga tikshna astra prabhura sahite sesaba astrahaya pasanda dalite. The synonyms here: anga, upanga, plenary portions and parts; tikshna, sharp; astra, weapons; prabhura sahite, along with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Say, these; saba, all; astra, weapons; haya, are; pasanda, the atheist; dalite, to trample. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Thus the Lord is equipped with sharp weapons in the form of his parts and plenary portions. All these weapons are competent enough to crush the faithless atheists. Purport. The word pasanda is very significant here. One who compares the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the demigods is known as a pasanda. Pasandas try to bring the Supreme Lord down to a mundane level. Sometimes they create their own imaginary God or accept an ordinary person as God and advertise him as equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are so foolish that they present someone as the next incarnation of Lord Chaitanya or Lord Krishna, although his activities are all contradictory to those of a genuine incarnation. And thus, they fool the innocent public. One who is intelligent and one who studies the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with reference to the Vedic context cannot be bewildered by the pashandas. Pashandas or atheists cannot understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord or transcendental loving service to the Lord. They think that devotional service is no better than ordinary fruitive activities, karma. As the Bhagavad Gita 4:8 confirms, however, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, saving the righteous and chastising the miscreants, Paritanaya sarunam vinishaya chaduskritam, always curb these nonsensical atheists. Miscreants always want to deny the Supreme Personality of Godhead and put stumbling blocks in the path of devotional service. The Lord sends his bona fide representatives and appears himself to curb this nonsense. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Agyanati Marandasha Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Mantrakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thus the Lord is equipped with sharp weapons in the form of his parts and plenary portions. All these are competent enough to crush the faithless atheist. This is glorifying specifically Lord Nityananda and Lord Advaitacharya. Shri Advaita Prabhu and Shri Nityananda Prabhu are described as plenary portions of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Himself. We don't consider Lord Chaitanya as an incarnation, because an incarnation indicates that it's a part or a portion of the Supreme Lord. The Lord's incarnations, they carry the same potencies, but they're for a specific purpose that the Lord incarnates. But Lord Chaitanya is described as Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanyan. He's non-different than Radha Krishna. It's Lord Krishna in the mood of wanting to experience the ecstasies of Srimati Radharani. He wants to understand the depth and the quality of her love. And thus he appears. So he appears not in the form of Shama Sundar, but in the form of his devotee. And he takes on the transcendental color, Gaurangi, of molten gold of his beloved Srimati Radharani. And he also takes on her mood of compassion. And that compassion extends to all the living entities, wanting to deliver them from their fallen condition of being here in this material energy. So who is then Shri Advaita Prabhu and Shri Nityananda Prabhu as portions and plenary portions? The first expansion of Lord Krishna is Balaram. And from Balaram comes all the other various expansions and incarnations. So therefore, Lord Balaram is the most close to Lord Shri Krishna. And when Lord Balaram takes Lila in Chaitanya Lila, he appears as Shri Nityananda Prabhu. Shri Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Balaram, is also the first is the first servant of Krishna as the first expansion, and wants to engage everybody in the service as he is engaged in the service of Lord Krishna. So he's also considered to be the Adi Guru, or the first Guru, and he represents the position of the Guru, the Chaita Guru from within the heart. Shri Advaita Prabhu is Mahavishnu. So these are just two tremendous personalities manifesting in a human form in Chaitanya Lila. But the power and qualities of these personalities are they're beyond our conception. They're inconceivable. Shri Advaita Prabhu, from him comes all the various universes here in this material world. And he is maintaining, creating, maintaining, and destroying them from Mahavishnu or Karnadakshaya Vishnu comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, which he manifests within each of the universes. So from his pores come out all these different universes. And there's a picture on the front page of the, you may have seen this picture. It was in the Bhagavatam, one of the editions of the Bhagavatam. So all these, from all the pores of his body come these like bubbles, which are universes. And then within each of those universes, he expands himself again into another plenary portion, to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who's laying on the ocean of milk, comes a lotus stem from his navel. And then in each universe, there's a Lord Brahma. And then from Lord Brahma comes the secondary creation. And then he manifests once again as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the manifestation of the super soul. He travels along with each and every one of the individual souls in this material world as the witness and the ultimate knower of every body. So this is Sri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, very powerful personalities. And so when Lord Krishna descends as in the mood and form of Lord Chaitanya, he brings with him his associates and many other associates. Gadadhar Pandit, who is the internal potency, Srimati Radharani directly. Narada Muni descends as Srivas, and then all the different associates also descend as different. Either they take part as Krishna's parents, Krishna's relatives, or pure devotees of Krishna, such as the Goswamis, etc. And why does he do that? So these are all limbs or angas or manifestations of the Supreme Lord. So why does he do that? He does it, to enact his Leela. And his Leela, when he comes into this world, is to reestablish religion, and also to annihilate the miscreants and uplift the devotees. Lord Chaitanya has a very special mission. So we see that there's the internal and the external. We're reading about the external reasons for the Lord coming. He also has the internal reasons, which I briefly touched on earlier. But the external reasons is to deliver this material world. In the form of Lord Krishna, he comes and he kills so many demons. Even from birth, just a couple weeks old, he's killing the demon, the Kartasura, and then we have the witch Putana that he kills, the Trinivarta demon, the whirlwind demon. Just as a baby, he's already coming out of the womb, killing these various demons who were disturbing society, disturbing the qualities of religion, and then so on throughout his life. He's always putting down the rise of irreligion, all the way up through the Battle of Kurukshetra, when all these warriors assembled together, and were taken off the face of this earth. But when Lord Chaitanya comes, he comes with a different mission, and we find this in the or a different method of delivering, and we find this in the pastime of Jagai and Madai, when Lord Nityananda was attacked by Jagai and Madai, and specifically, physically harmed by Madai. And Lord Chaitanya appeared, and all of a sudden he started to manifest his forms like we see in Lord Krishna. He called for his Sudarshan chakra, which, just the exposure of such is deadly. And he was going to sever the heads of Jagai and Madai. And Lord Nityananda said, wait a second, this is not why you've come here in this Kali Yuga. This Kali Yuga, everybody is considered fallen. Everybody is sinful. Everybody is deviated in some way or other. Even those that are trying to practice, they're just hanging on for dear life, and trying to find some religiosity and some pathway back to you, but it is very difficult. Even their good qualities are usually, mixed in with some type of adharma. So he says, really, you've come to deliver and change the hearts, transformation of the hearts of these atheists. that are here. And we find this word pashandas, or atheist, that Srila in this verse, and Srila Prabhupada elaborates on them. And there are two kinds that Srila Prabhupada talks about. Srila Prabhupada, he talks about the innocent and the ignorant. And he says, the innocent people, they are not offenders, but the ignorant people are offenders. So there are different types of atheists in these two general categories. And there are also other different categories. But Srila Prabhupada breaks it down into the innocent and the offenders. And he goes on to say that a child is innocent, but the father is ignorant and an offender. So in other words, there are people in this world who are really trying to create a disturbance and deny the existence of the Supreme Lord. And then there are those that are more or less innocent. They're just following in the footsteps, not knowing any better. If you go to school, and the teachers can, teaching nonsense and misleading the students. Well, the students are innocent. They're going there with the understanding that, okay, the teacher is in knowledge, and therefore, I'm going to learn and repeat what they're teaching us. So the teacher is considered to be an ignorant fool who is an offender, whereas the student is just considered to be ignorant in the sense of innocence. In the Sri Upanishad, it's the ninth mantra. Srila Prabhupada talks about how this term vidya and avidya means ignorance and vidya means knowledge, that usually we talk in terms of knowledge being the opposite of ignorance, and it is. However, when knowledge is mistaken or misguided, it can actually be more dangerous than avidya or ignorance. So if you have knowledge in the hands of people, Srila Prabhupada actually says the modern civilization has advanced considerably in the field of mass education, but the result of the people are more unhappy than ever before, because the stress is placed on material advancement and excludes the most important part of life, the spiritual aspect. So those individuals that are putting forth this form of education, denying the existence of spiritual life and the importance of it, they're the most dangerous. And knowledge in the hands of the wrong people actually is more dangerous than just being in a state of ignorance. There's this term called the mudha, or fool. These are one of the 4 types of duskritinas, or ones that do not surrender to Krishna. That's described in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5. And the example is given that they are like a cobra that has a valuable jewel on its head. You may have heard this term before, used by Srila Prabhupada. They say a cobra with a jewel on its head is much more decorated than a cobra that's not decorated at all. Why? Because you may become fascinated by, oh wow, look at this cobra. Let's go look at him. Let's go look at the jewel. And you get really close to them, and then they bite you. Where if just a regular cobra or a regular snake, you just dismiss it and try to move in the opposite direction. But this particular cobra will charm you. Maybe they'll say some type of information that may sound very intelligent. They may be advanced in philosophy, in argument. But when you analyze what they're trying to say, actually, it's only to discourage one from pursuing life's true mission, which is spiritual, which is reestablishing one's relationship with Krishna. And therefore, it is important to hear from the scriptures, what a good association is and what bad association is, and the importance of trying to avoid bad association in the form of these duskritinas, which will destroy our faith in the position of Lord Krishna. Sometimes they try to take the position of Lord Krishna. They as Srila Prabhupada mentioned, they bring Krishna down to a very common level. Oh, he was just a person, he just did some, magic, it was just through his mystic powers that he was able to, do the things he could do because he was advanced in yoga, But many people can do these yoga cities and various aspects of mysticism. And then they say, well, I too can do that. And they'll do some mystical tricks. They'll go to another place and bring back a mango while physically being in one place. They'll reach into another country and bring back a mango. Or they'll do some superhuman strength tricks, like take a steel rebar and press it against their head and bend it. Crush a light bulb into powder without damaging their hand, and do things, and we become fascinated by it. But when we look at the super excellency of Krishna, he was performing these from his very birth. So it wasn't because Krishna performed some type of process that he became Krishna. It's not that he elevated himself and became stronger and stronger and more advanced as he went through his life. No, these qualities were there from his very birth. And that is the difference between, Krishna and various other yogis that are able to do these different superhuman feats. Now, the superhuman feats that these yogis can do don't even compare to the stuff that Lord Krishna can do. Lifting a mountain versus lifting a steel rod or a heavy rock. But a lot of times people, they bring them, we see this, people claiming to be incarnations, misleading the public. Now, the people that they're misleading are innocent. They're just following the wrong people. When you're innocent and you follow the wrong person, then very soon you become an offender and you become just like them. Lord Chaitanya's mission is to seek out these innocent people. And with the weapon of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, transform their hearts. Give them spiritual knowledge as spoken by Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. That Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas have picked out and translated the most important of such scriptures, so that we can teach people about what is the real value of life. That we're spirit souls with an eternal relationship for Krishna. And our entanglement in this material world has left us in a place of bewilderment, anxiety, confusion. But there is a pathway out that has actually nothing to do with our material bodies and our material advancement. And that is to understand who we are as spiritual beings, and that our soul has an eternal relationship with Krishna. And that relationship with Krishna can be realized in this lifetime by performing devotional service, which starts with the process of hearing about Krishna and chanting the Lord's names. And therefore, the same processes of acquiring knowledge, of engaging our bodies in various forms of karmas and work, if we do those same activities, but we do it with the understanding that Krishna is the controller, and we turn all our attention to Krishna, we can actually be liberated from this world. This they are in ignorance of. And we have the power, the knowledge that can cut through them, this ignorance, like a sharp knife. It is very interesting, the words that are being used here. This sharpness, the word tikshna, sharp weapons. So you kind of think in terms of what, a sharp weapon, is a very refined, powerful, ready to kill type of weapon. And this sharp weapon of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is going to cut through all of the knots of karma, anxieties, misconceptions that bewilders the living entity. And we don't have to use this based on a level of faith. We can just look at ourselves, our own lives, to see just how powerful the Hare Krishna mantra is. Reflect back on the first kirtan, or maybe if it wasn't the first, maybe the second or third, the kirtan that you experienced. For me, it was the first one. And there was nothing like it that I had ever experienced in this world. I was an atheist trying to figure out truth. I was very appealed to science. I'd studied the different, forms of the Big Bang. And why? Because that's what I'd been exposed to in school. The church that I attended really had no other explanation other than just have faith in that there's God. So I wasn't really so convinced. I had no spiritual experience to really convince me that actually there is an aspect, a spiritual component of life. It just seemed like it was somewhat made up because there was no experience. But when I chanted in a kirtan for the first time and heard devotees, all of a sudden, everything inside of me, it was like a tight knot just became loosened. And this overpouring of nectar that was going in through my ears started to cascade through my heart. And everything that was so tied up and so uncertain, all of a sudden became very lucid. And I didn't understand any of it, but this experience of just being overcome with the Lord's mercy was undeniable. And it was transformative. And I said, I don't know what just happened. I have no clue what was going on, but something just got awoken inside of me, and that I can't deny. So people will have this experience, and we can act as servants of these great devotees of and incarnations of the Supreme Lord, Lord Nityananda, Shri Advaita Prabhu, who've gone out to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. And we can give them their mercy and allow people to be released from their ignorance with the sharp weapon of the holy name and spiritual knowledge, Divya Jnana, and come to the platform of Krishna consciousness and perfect their lives. It's often said that the devotees should not have any dealings with the atheist. Why? Because it can destroy their faith. to preach to the faithless, is actually one of the offenses to the holy name, because you don't want to turn somebody away even more so than they are turned, and you don't want to ruin your own devotional creeper, your own devotional lives. And if one isn't strong enough, actually hearing these arguments can be very detrimental. I remember there was one time here in Philadelphia, we were doing some preaching at different yoga studios, and we would go listen to their kirtans and just mingle with the people. And then we'd invite them to Rathayatra. If we were having a program, we would invite them to the program. We usually had relationships with the yoga studios already, so they were, in one sense, friends with us. But when we would listen to them, they wouldn't even preach, because they're not. They would just kind of give their ideas and explanations of what they were chanting and who they were chanting to, and how we were all one, and how all the different names that they would chant, whether it was Ganesh or Durga or Kali or Krishna or Ram, it was all the same. You just pick the mantra that you like the most. They would say all these different things, and I realized after a while, I just felt my conviction was starting to dry up. And I thought, this is actually very dangerous. This is exactly what Lord Chaitanya spoke about. Don't even associate with a Mayavadi. Don't even associate with, an atheist. Because unless you're willing to actually go in and actually try to transform them and have the power to do so, have the Shakti, have the mercy and empowerment, you actually put yourself in a very vulnerable position. So the devotees of the Lord who've taken up this service to go into these arenas and try to challenge the philosophies that have misled this world, and try to deliver the ignorant. They are so amazingly wonderful. And they're so dear to Krishna. And these are the devotees that we should seek out and try to serve. Srila Prabhupada, when you look at all the tremendous things that he's done, finding, the innocent, people that were here in America and throughout the different countries of the world, and made them into devotees. Once they asked, Srila Prabhupada was in India, and he was in a Pandal program, and I believe it was in Hyderabad. Vishnu Gada Prabhu was telling this, and he was saying how it was, there was a lady there, she was the MC of the program, and she asked Srila Prabhupada, she said, Swamiji, can you perform a miracle for us? Meaning to do some type of mystic city on stage. And Srila Prabhupada laughed, and he says, look at all these young boys and girls. This is the miracle. That they were able to be turned from, faithless atheists living in America, eating meat, living in a culture of, meat eating, illicit sex, drugs, gambling. And now look at them. They're following the path of Krishna consciousness. This is the miracle. And then Srila Prabhupada also went into, he would challenge, directly, the scientific community, the Pseudo religious yoga community and yoga communities. He had the spiritual strength to do so. And when we see the power of these devotees, these are the ones that we want to follow. These are the ones we want to learn from. This is the ones we want to serve. And devotees like this, they say, are even more merciful than the Lord himself. Because Krishna came to kill such people. In the mood of Lord Chaitanya, he's coming to, Lord Chaitanya has come with his associates to deliver them, defeat their philosophies, and introduce to them the eternal science of Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop here and see if there's any reflections or comments, questions.
Thank you so much, Dronacharya. Very nice class. A lot of really deep personal realizations that you shared. I was really appreciating your experiences and your first time experience and your challenges and everything. I especially like the point that you were talking about the yoga studio, you know, how it affected you and how you had to catch yourself when you were remembering Lord Chaitanya's instructions, that how we should avoid, you know, non-devotees, how it can affect our mind. That was pretty, very powerful. Sometimes I think, you know, that when we go to these yoga studios and all their programs and they do their thing and we're just going there. But I just from hearing you, I can see that sometimes it can affect us if we are not shielded, you know. That was pretty strong. We can be swept away unknowingly. Maya is pretty strong. That was a nice point that I wanted to share. Was really appreciating your feedback. Thank you. Would like to ask devotees if any questions, any comments. Yes, Pritchett, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I accept humble obeisances, glories and videos here qualified.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you for the lecture. And one of the things that earlier on you talked about was the distinction between oh my God.
Innocent and ignorant?
Yes, the distinction between
Mine
the
too.
innocent and the ignorant. So
Mine too.
my alarm went off. I had to take medicine. So anyway, yeah, that was very, very nice and gave the instruction or the example of the, as you mentioned, Papa said that the child may be innocent, but the father is ignorant, you know, and the fact that, you know, people sometimes go to school, a teacher who's supposed to know, who write things that are wrong on the board, the students just don't know. They just copy and they think that it's right when in fact it's wrong. So the teacher is ignorant, but the students are innocent. So the examples that you gave was very, very, very nice. And thank you very much for, you know, that distinction, innocence and then ignorance, like that. We talk about the mode of ignorance a lot. Mm-hmm. And of course, the other one you mentioned about, which is mentioned already, these yoga studios, and that reminded me of the Chaitanya Charitamrita reference in Madhya chapter 22, text 87, and that's where Lord Chaitanya defines what a Vaishnava should be. A Vaishnava should always avoid the association of ordinary people. He said that. Asat Sangat Yaga e Vaishnava Acha, Shri Sangi Ekak Salu Krishna Bhakta Ara. Which means a Vaishnava should always avoid association of ordinary people. And then Lord Chaitanya wants to come. People are very much materially attached, especially to women. And Vaishnava should avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna. So yeah, it is very, very commendable, but difficult service to try to go into these yoga studios who think, people think everybody's saying, pick whatever mantra you want, as you were saying. So we have to be very, very, very careful, very careful. And even in book distribution, sometimes we meet other religionists that try to put their philosophy on us. And I've been through that before, so we have to be really careful. So thank you for bringing that warning to us. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Pariksha Prabhu. What comes to mind, we can even see this with the associates of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya had a servant named Krishnadas, and he even got swept away by this. I forget the group that was there, but he associated with them, and Lord Chaitanya actually had to go in and actually save them, save him.
Mayavadis? They were Mayavadis?
Yeah, Mayavadis, or they were. I forget.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah. I don't know if they were called Mayavad. I have to look it up in the CC, but he was actually his personal servant. And one day he just started just kind of mingling with them. Next thing you know, he was part of their camp, and Lord Chaitanya had to come and pull him out. So even one who has direct association with the Lord, we can see that, of course, there was also probably some Lila there as well as an instruction to us, but we can see that just the power of the non-devotees, how they can pull us away.
As it said, Maya is an equal opportunity employer. Goes everywhere.
Doesn't discriminate.
Actually, I really was also appreciating the distinction, Dronacharya, innocent and ignorant. I just like how you got that two terms so perfectly, and they both started with an I. So that was really, really neat. And the question, before I ask my question, let me ask others. If other devotees have any questions, any comments or, clarification, please do unmute yourself and ask your question, and we will go with it. My question that I have, Dronacharya, is this. How can we distinguish or differentiate or even identify innocent and ignorant? Because, we come across situations where one may seem ignorant or one may seem innocent, but they put on the facade of an ignorant or vice versa.
Yeah. So, typically the ignorant, they're also, Srila Prabhupada called them like offenders, meaning that they have a strong position against God, right? So an innocent person may just repeat something that they've heard, but they really don't know, and they'll kind of say they don't know. They haven't really established and gone on a mission against the position of God. When you look at, you have like some scientists, they'll preach against it, or you'll have people in academia that may preach against it. God doesn't exist. There's no proof that God exists. No. When they're challenged, you say, okay, your scientific principles and things like that, what is the basis of these? This is a huge leap of faith just to get where they are. But they are able to defend their positions in different ways to people who don't even ask these types of questions. So usually when we go in and in Sankirtan, distribute books, when we meet people, based on their reaction. Now, a person may not be interested, but they still may be innocent. They're just kind of absorbed in their material life. But usually when they hear something and there's an interest that's sparked, they're usually not very challenging. Their interest may not be there, but they're not very challenging. But usually when the person is very challenging, you can see right from the get-go, they'll try to preach to you about, some type of material philosophy that they are involved in, or it could be even just a impersonalistic philosophy that's really, really strong. Usually you can determine in that way. So the innocent are like kind of like the low-hanging fruits from a tree. They're more ripe. They're more ready to that you can be able to have them understand, Krishna consciousness. They may be affected or moved by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So people are chanting, we may be there, people gather around. Those are the innocent people. The people that may try to disturb it, call the cops, and those are the people that are, kind of the people that are against God.
that helps a lot, Dronacharya. It really did. Thank you for really breaking it down and making it very clear. That really helped a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And there's a
Any-
lot more of them. There's a lot more of them than there are of the other category. Just like in the world, there's a lot more leaders than there are
followers.
Right? So
Yes.
if every leader has, several, 100 followers, then there's a lot of, innocent people that are there that are just looking for a better way, a better path. And we have the opportunity to give that to them. And Rath Yatra is a great way to do that. Doing book distribution, Sankirtan, social media. That's another, if people are into social media, I know a lot of devotees preach through social media, because social media is really designed to let people know about their material lives, just tell people about their material lives. So people that are able to go on social media and preach through social media the message of Krishna, all glories to their service. I mean, they're finding different ways to infiltrate into people's consciousness. People are missing something. There's a void within the hearts of almost everyone. And if we're able to fill that void with Krishna, if they're able to say, okay, let me at least try this, Krishna will fill that void, that we know. So we just have to give the opportunity for people that are out there, that are innocent, that are just looking for something to fill that void.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, there are, there are more of one category than the other. So this is the opportunity to really soften the hearts to the chanting of the holy name. Thank you for bringing that up, Mary. And I really liked how you really very clearly broke down innocence and ignorance. That was very helpful. Thank you. Anyone else would like to ask a question? Any thoughts that's coming to your mind? Any clarification? Or even a takeaway, please, you can definitely unmute yourself and share something, or put in the chat, and I'll be happy to read it. There was one chat earlier on, Dronacharya, that one of our devotees, Saurabh Prabhu, he said that he's looking forward to dancing with you in Kirtan this Saturday.
Yeah, likewise. I'm looking forward to it too.
He's also another wild dancer of Lord Chaitanya, like we have few in our temple, so they're looking forward to dancing with you in Rath Yatra. So that's great. If there's no questions, we thank you all for joining us, and we thank you for participating in this beautiful purport of Srila Prabhupada, really, really deep. And I think it's just perfect, just in time for our Rath Yatra season that we're going into. And we thank Dronacharya and really look forward to seeing him this Saturday, so all of us can have his association. If you haven't, please do connect with him this Saturday. And we wish you all a wonderful day. Vanchakraptubhyascha kripasindhabevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
I have this
so much.
reference
Yes.
real quick. I can give it to you, the one I was referring to.
Please.
So it's from Lord Chaitanya's South Indian tour, Madhya Lila, chapter 9, text 226 to 233. And
Madhya Lila chapter 9, you said?
Yeah, text 226 to 233.
226 to 233?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accompanied by his servant Krishnadas. He was a Brahmana, but he met with the Bharaharis there. With women, the Bharaharis, I'm not sure who the Bharaharis are, what their philosophy is, but with women, the Bharaharis, a Lord Krishnadas, who is simple and gentle. By virtue of their bad association, they polluted his intelligence. Allured by the Bharaharis, Krishnadas went to their place in the early morning. The Lord also went there very quickly just to find him. Upon reaching their community, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Bharaharis, "Why are you keeping my Brahmana assistant? I am in the renounced order of life, and so are you. Yet you are purposefully giving me pain. and I don't see any good logic in this. Upon hearing Lord Chaitanya, all the Badaharis came running from all sides with weapons in their hands, desiring to hurt Lord Chaitanya. However, the weapons fell from their hands and struck their own bodies. With some of the Badaharis were thus cut to pieces, and others ran away in all four directions. While there was very much roaring and crying at the Badahari community, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu grabbed Krishnadas by the hair and took him away. Hare Krishna.
I'm trying to think who were the Badaharis, but that's, yeah. I mean, I've heard about the Mayavadis, but not about the Badaharis. So we've got to.
Yeah, we could probably, it's probably in one of the purports to the Prabhupada.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure.
Described.
Yeah, let's
one of-
find out about it.
But you can see there was some deviant, even the person who was the personal servant,
Of the Lord.
the Lord traveling with him, in South India. He even got a Lord. So we just have to be very careful. We have to be
What
very
to speak
strong.
of us, right? Yeah, that's a good point, because if the personal servant of the Lord can be Lord, it's like almost being like the personal servant of the spiritual master, right? If one can be Lord, what to speak of us, with Maya being so strong. So that was a very, very powerful point. But he said, I think I need to take myself out of Maya, sort of. That was a nice point. Thank you for sharing that, and definitely thank you for sharing the book and the verse and the chapter, Dronacharya. That helps a lot. We can definitely reference to it whenever we have time to read it. And then you said that is the South India, something but the South India trip, right? That chapter.
His tour, Lord Chaitanya's
Tour. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. Please do. I know those of us who are still online, please refer to that pastime and really get into the mood. It's so nice. Lord Chaitanya and Rath Yatra, they go hand in hand, that whole pastime. So please do get into the mood while we are preparing for Rath Yatra. And yes, thank you so much for a wonderful class, Dronacharya. Very, very nice and very, very deep. And thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Drona Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mother Gita.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother Gita. Welcome back, Mother. We missed you.
Thank you. I miss the sessions too.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare